In the quiet corners of our lives, where fears and doubts reside, there's a soft whisper urging us to surrender to the gentle guidance of God. We yearn for a sense of security, a steadfast anchor to cling to when the waves of uncertainty crash against our souls. It's here, amidst the turmoil, that we find ourselves drawn to the tender heart of Santa Teresina do Menino Jesus, a saint renowned for her profound trust in the loving providence of God. Her life's narrative is a testament to the transformative power of faith, an unwavering commitment to entrust her very existence to the hands of a loving Father. Teresina's story, though marked by physical and spiritual struggles, remains a luminous beacon, illuminating the path to a deeper relationship with God. Her devotion to the child Jesus, whom she affectionately referred to as her little king, became the cornerstone of her spiritual journey, a constant reminder of the gentle, loving presence that resides within each of us. As we navigate the complexities of our own lives, we often find ourselves at crossroads, torn between the desire to control our circumstances and the surrender required to truly trust in God's plan. It's in these moments of existential crisis that we're invited to ponder the significance of Santa Teresina's trust in the divine. Her example serves as a poignant reminder that true confidence in God's goodness is not rooted in a denial of life's challenges, but rather in a conviction that, no matter what we face, we are never alone. In a world where anxiety and uncertainty have become the norm, we're faced with the daunting task of discerning the subtle whispers of God's presence amidst the cacophony of our own fears and doubts. It's here, in the midst of the spiritual search, that we're drawn to simplicity and profundity of Santa Teresina's prayer, an oration that has been a source of comfort and guidance for countless souls throughout the centuries. This prayer, a heartfelt expression of trust in the loving providence of God, invites us to embark on a journey of spiritual introspection, one that seeks to uncover the hidden contours of our own hearts and the depths of God's loving care. As we embark on this journey, we're invited to consider the transformative power of small, seemingly insignificant acts of love. These everyday gestures, though often overlooked in the grand tapestry of our lives, hold within the potential to become catalysts for profound spiritual growth. It's in the quiet moments, the mundane tasks, and the everyday interactions that we're presented with opportunities to exercise our trust in God's loving goodness, to surrender our fears and doubts, and to allow the gentle guidance of the divine to shape our lives. In the stillness of the night, as we reflect on the ebbs and flows of our lives, we're reminded of the promise that lies at the heart of Santa Teresina's devotion, that in the midst of uncertainty, we are never abandoned, that in the depths of our fears and doubts, we are always loved, and that in the quiet moments of our lives, we are invited to trust in the loving providence of God, who desires nothing more than to be our guiding light, our source of comfort, and our steadfast companion on this journey we call life. As we delve deeper into the realm of trusting in God's loving providence, we find ourselves faced with the intriguing question of how this trust manifests in our daily lives. Now, consider how this applies when you face a series of unexpected setbacks, each one threatening to undermine your confidence in the divine. It's in these moments of turmoil that we're compelled to seek out the wisdom of Santa Teresina, who teaches us that trust is not the absence of fear, but rather the willingness to confront our doubts head-on. One of the most profound ways we can cultivate trust in God's providence is by embracing the concept of present moment awareness. This involves being fully engaged in the current moment, letting go of worries about the past or anxieties about the future. By doing so, we open ourselves up to the possibility of experiencing God's presence in the most unexpected ways. For instance, imagine you're walking through a bustling city, feeling overwhelmed by the cacophony of sounds and sights. Yet, as you pause to breathe in the scent of freshly baked bread wafting from a nearby cafe, you're suddenly struck by the beauty of the present moment. In that instant, you're reminded that God is not just a distant figure, but a loving presence that permeates every aspect of our lives. Furthermore, trusting in God's providence requires us to surrender our need for control. When we're faced with uncertainty, our natural instinct is to try and micromanage the situation, to impose our will on the world around us. However, this approach only serves to further entrench our fears and doubts. In contrast, Santa Teresina's prayer encourages us to let go of our need for control, to trust that God has a greater plan at work. Now, consider how this applies when you're faced with a difficult decision one that seems to have no clear solution. It's here that we're invited to surrender our need for control, to trust that God will guide us towards the best possible outcome. Conversely, trusting in God's providence also requires us to cultivate a sense of gratitude. When we focus on the negative aspects of our lives, we create a void that can only be filled by God's loving presence. By acknowledging the good things in our lives, no matter how small they may seem, we open ourselves up to the possibility of experiencing God's love in new and profound ways. For instance, think about the last time you received a kind word from a friend or family member. How did that make you feel? Did you feel seen, heard, and loved? If so, then you've experienced a glimpse of God's loving providence in action. Another crucial layer to trusting in God's providence is the concept of interiority. This involves being attentive to the inner workings of our souls, listening for the whispers of God's guidance. By doing so, we create a space for God to work within us, to shape us into the persons He desires us to be. Now, consider how this applies when you're faced with a sense of spiritual dryness, a feeling that you're not connected to God in the way you once were. It's here that we're invited to turn inward, to listen for the gentle voice of God, guiding us towards a deeper understanding of His loving providence. As we navigate the intricate tapestry of trusting in God's providence, we begin to discern the subtle yet profound nuances that underlie this fundamental aspect of our faith. Like the gentle tendrils of vine, our exploration has been weaving together disparate threads, each one rich with meaning and significance. The notion of present moment awareness, for instance, has come to the fore, revealing the profound impact that our ability to be fully engaged in the current moment has on our capacity to trust in God's loving guidance. In tandem with this insight, the importance of surrendering our need for control has emerged as a vital component of trusting in God's providence. By letting go of our need to micromanage the world around us, we create a space for God to work His will, even in the midst of uncertainty and chaos. This surrender is not a passive acquiescence, but rather an active trust that God is always working towards our ultimate good. As we reflect on these ideas, we begin to see that they are not isolated concepts, but rather interconnected facets of a deeper reality. The thread of gratitude, for example, has been subtly woven throughout our exploration, highlighting the importance of acknowledging the good things in our lives, no matter how small they may seem. By cultivating a sense of gratitude, we open ourselves up to the possibility of experiencing God's love in new and profound ways. Furthermore, our examination of interiority has revealed the critical role that listening to our inner selves plays in trusting in God's providence. By attending to the whispers of God's guidance, we create a space for Him to shape us into the persons He desires us to be. This process is not a static one, but rather a dynamic and ongoing journey of growth and transformation. Reflecting on this journey so far, we begin to see that trusting in God's providence is not a destination, but rather a dynamic process of growth and transformation. It is a journey that requires us to be willing to surrender our need for control, to cultivate a sense of gratitude, and to listen to the whispers of God's guidance. As we pivot toward the final reflection, we find ourselves standing at the threshold of profound realization that trusting in God's providence is not just a spiritual practice, but a way of life that has the power to transform us in ways both profound and subtle. As we stand at the threshold of this profound journey, we find ourselves face to face with the gentle yet unyielding presence of God. The whispers of Santa Teresinha's prayer, like a soft breeze on a summer's day, have awakened within us a deep sense of trust, a trust that is not predicated on the absence of fear or doubt, but rather on the willingness to confront these emotions head-on. In the stillness of the night, as we reflect on the ebbs and flows of our lives, we come to realize that trusting in God's providence is not a destination, but rather a dynamic process of growth and transformation. It is in the quiet moments, the mundane tasks, and the everyday interactions that we are presented with opportunities to exercise our trust in God's loving goodness. We learn to surrender our need for control, to cultivate a sense of gratitude, and to listen to the whispers of God's guidance. As we navigate the complexities of our lives, we come to understand that trusting in God's providence is not just a spiritual practice, but a way of life that has the power to transform us in ways both profound and subtle. The true practice of trusting in God's providence begins not when we have all the answers, but when we are willing to ask questions. It begins not when we have all the faith, but when we are willing to take the first step. It begins not when we have all the strength, but when we are willing to lean on the one who holds us. In the midst of uncertainty and chaos, we are called to trust in the loving guidance of God, to surrender our need for control, and to cultivate a sense of gratitude. As we close this journey, we are left with profound realization that trusting in God's providence is not just a spiritual concept, but a lived experience that has the power to transform us in ways both profound and subtle. We are invited to embark on a journey of discovery, to explore the depths of our own hearts and uncover the hidden contours of God's loving presence. We are called to trust in the gentle whispers of God's guidance, to surrender our need for control, and to cultivate a sense of gratitude. In the end, it is not about achieving some sort of spiritual perfection, but about embracing the imperfect, messy, and beautiful journey that is our life. It is about learning to trust in the loving goodness of God, even when the road ahead is uncertain. It is about surrendering our need for control and instead allowing the gentle guidance of God to shape us into persons He desires us to be. As we stand at the threshold of this new journey, we are reminded that the true practice of trusting in God's providence begins now, in the midst of uncertainty and chaos, with a willingness to trust, to surrender, and to cultivate a sense of gratitude.